Welcome back to Coach Eckner's Math. Today we are talking isosceles trapezoids. We've already talked trapezoids with one pair of bases that are parallel. Now we're talking isosceles trapezoids where we have a pair of parallel bases and congruent legs. So let's look down at the picture below. An isosceles trapezoid has all properties of a trapezoid plus a few more. My properties of a trapezoid are 1 and 2. All trapezoids have exactly one parallel side, and all trapezoids have a median that go from midpoint to midpoint, right there. Now, because the legs are congruent, notice I marked the same congruence from midpoint to midpoint. Because the legs are congruent, we know a few more things. The diagonals must also be congruent, and finally the base angles are congruent. So this angle and this angle are congruent, and this angle and this angle are congruent. So let's look on down at example number 4. ABCD is an isosceles trapezoid. Decide whether each statement is true or false. I think the directions must be wrong here. We're going to solve for the missing piece. The measure of angle ADC is 54. If ADC is 54, then BCD must also be 54 degrees. How do we know that? We know that base angles are congruent. Looking at B. On B, it says that the measure of angle BAD is 112 degrees. So if that's 112 degrees, then the measure of BCD would not be congruent. I could say that angle A and angle B are congruent, 112. And then I could talk about my parallel line conjecture, where I extend my lines out. I would say that these 4 angles here would be congruent. Since they're not congruent, they must be supplementary. 180 minus 112 gives me 68 degrees. Okay, and finally, looking at C, the measure of angle ABC. So now we're talking about measure of angle ABC, calling it 95 degrees. The measure of angle ADC. So again, same thing I just did. I'm going to say that A and B must be congruent, so this is now 95 degrees as well. I'm going to go ahead and extend my transversal out, extend my lines, and I'm going to say that 112 right there, this top piece, and this bottom piece are congruent. Since the angles are not congruent, they must be supplementary. 180 minus 95 gives me 85 degrees for the measure of angle ADC. Let's flip on over. Got 2 more examples about isosceles trapezoids. Done is an isosceles trapezoid. The measure of angle EDO is 110 degrees. And the measure of angle DEN is 15x minus 5. Now we just showed it twice on the last problem. Those 2 angles must be supplementary. So to solve for x, I'm going to say 110 plus 15x minus 5 equals 180 degrees. Or 15x equals 105. Plus 15x plus 105 equals 180. Or 15x equals 75. X must be 5. Just like that. Simplify it down to algebra. Looking on at trap. Example number 6. Trap is an isosceles trapezoid. PR is 3x minus 7. And TA is 20. Well, we know that from our properties a couple minutes ago that diagonals are congruent. So since the diagonals are congruent, That's an easy way for us to say that they equal each other. So 3x minus 7 equals 20, or 3x equals 27, so x must be 9. This has been Coach Eichner's Math. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of your day.